like, oh, just like head over to like labor and delivery. And I was like, okay. Most overrated baby item. I didn't feel like my full self in pregnancy until after I had the baby. If I was to give myself pre-pregnancy advice, how painful is the recovery? My baby's napping, let's make a coffee and then chat about all things pregnancy and postpartum. Got my coffee, baby's napping, and welcome back to my channel. My name is Annika. I'm a first-time mom. I am in my 30s. Well, I just joined the 30s club last year, and so far, honestly, 10 out of 10 recommend. Being 30 or in your 30s has been amazing, and the 20s were fun and they were good and they were like young and whatever. But 30 truly is like when you come into your own, you're confident, you know who you are, and just doing that as a first-time mom has been 10 out of 10 best experience. I wanted to chat through some pregnancy and postpartum questions that my friends always ask me and things that I like just want to tell first-time moms. There's definitely a lot of information on the internet about getting pregnant, being postpartum, but really it's just such a different experience from person to person. So I hope that my experience and my take can be a positive one. I had a very, very positive pregnancy and so far a very positive postpartum experience. I'm not going to say it was easy and that nothing happened to me, because I did have a couple of things happen in my pregnancy and happen postpartum that were maybe just different and harder to deal with. But truly, I've had the best time and I feel like I've come into my own. I feel like being a mom has been something that I didn't know I was like going to love so much. And I just like want to share that with other people, because I was never the one to like dream about being a mom, dream about get pregnant and just like be obsessed with being a mom. I have been married for 8 years. My husband and I wanted kids. We weren't just like obsessed with waiting to have them. And now that we are here and we have a kid, I just feel like this was my calling basically. And that has been such a blessing for me, to be like fulfilled in this role and to love this role and to be excited to have more kids in the future. So let's just dive into these questions. No more yapping from me. Okay, I wanted to start off with this one question that I saw in another video I was watching, and it was my favorite baby item and the most overrated baby item. So I'd have to say my favorite baby item has been my stroller, which like maybe you could like classify as a different type of item. My stroller, I feel like I spent hours and hours and hours doing research and watching videos and watching YouTube videos and like going to the store to like test them out. And ultimately, I just had to listen to my husband and be like, what stroller should we get? Because I was going crazy and I just like couldn't get this one stroller out of my mind. But then my husband was like leaning towards this one and I was like, maybe that one's more practical, but then this one, like you can have 2 kids in and whatever. You can get so caught up in like all the specs, and ultimately my husband picked the stroller, and that was one of the best decisions ever. I have the UPPAbaby Cruise in all black and it has been game changing. I know there's a lot of videos on TikTok about how people hate the UPPAbaby Vista because it's like heavy and hard to open and close and whatever. I don't know. I would agree. I obviously don't have one and I haven't tried it, but the Cruise is just like smaller and lighter. It does only fit one child, so that is like the con to that stroller. But to be honest, like the one-click system for the car seat, the stroller, the bassinet, everything has been amazing, and I would 100% recommend the UPPAbaby Cruise. I know that the guy at the stroller store was like, oh, if you want 2 kids, like you should buy the Vista, and I was like, no, like I do not want the Vista. I have my eye on another stroller for when we have more kids, but for now we have the Cruise and I love it, and I'm obsessed with going on stroller walks and using my stroller. It's just like the greatest thing ever. Most overrated baby item, I mean, I don't really know, because I don't really have any items that I'm like, oh, this is weird. The only one maybe I would like say is my nursing pillow. Yeah, I feel like my nursing pillow, I feel like I kind of scared myself into getting it because I ended up having a C-section and I was nervous about holding the baby and like having him press on my abdomen and stuff. And I don't know, I bought it and I definitely used it for like the first month or two, but now it's just in storage and like, I don't know, I just feel like it's taking up space and like it's maybe overrated. Like I probably could have just used a pillow. So that's my take on that. Okay, I want to get in straight to just like how my pregnancy was and then go straight into postpartum and then go from questions from there. My pregnancy was honestly amazing. I was chatting with a friend the other day and I was saying how I like vaguely remember being pregnant, and I'll look at photos of myself and just like think that that was a distant dream. And I think that is something that like our brain and body do. I found out I was pregnant at the end of November, and honestly I just like woke up one day and I was like, I'm pregnant. Like I just like felt it in my body. I woke up feeling different. I was on my way to work. I went to Shoppers and I got a pregnancy test, and I just like waited till I got home to try it, and it was positive. And I just like knew in my soul that I was pregnant. I don't know what it was. My pregnancy, I thankfully had no nausea or morning sickness or really like any classic things that go on in pregnancy. The only thing that I got, which was unfortunate, was high blood pressure. I ended up having to take medication for that in my third trimester to keep my blood pressure at like normal levels. I had to get a blood pressure machine to like test it and take it. I took my blood pressure 3 times a day. It was like this whole thing, and my camera roll is full of my blood pressure photos because I had to report them to my doctor. So I feel like that was the only like bad thing that happened in my pregnancy, and honestly it wasn't even that bad. I felt normal and the same. I just had to take things slower and rest more, which actually like I think was good for me because I just wanted to do everything. I did end up having so much swelling. That's what happens when you have high blood pressure. So I was a little bit embarrassed about my ankles because it was the summer and my ankles, I don't know, grew like 5 times the size that they were. It was insane. When I was 38 weeks, I had an appointment with my doctor and she just like couldn't figure out if the head was at the top or the bottom. So anyway, she sent me for an ultrasound at the hospital like the same day I like walked over there, and they found out that the baby was breech. So basically after the ultrasound, they didn't tell me the results in the moment and like they didn't show me anything. So they were like, oh, just like head over to like labor and delivery. And I was like, okay. So I waddle over there and I'm texting my husband. I'm like, hey, like, just, you know, like they sent me here. I'm like, I don't know why. I'll update you later. He's at work. Then I'm like waiting in like fully what it's called, like triage, like the place where you go to like labor before they admit you. So I'm like sitting in one of those beds. I'm like, this is so weird that I'm here. And I don't have anything with me. Like I don't have my hospital bag. I don't really have water. Like I'm just chilling. A nurse comes to see me and they're like, hey, your baby's breech. A doctor's gonna come and tell you your options. And I was like, okay, great. So I text my husband and I update him. I'm like, hey, just, you know, this is what's going on. And then he's like, what are the chances you have the baby today? I'm like, oh no, like that won't happen. So anyways, I'm realizing that like I should have packed my bag and just had it in the car and whatever. I wait a little bit longer. The doctor comes and has like my file and my photos, and they're like, hey, so yeah, the baby's breech, and since you're 38 weeks, it's actually too late to like manually try to flip the baby from the outside, so your only option is a C-section. And I was so excited because I truthfully, like, sure, I could probably like have a VBAC, but I just like really didn't want to. I really didn't want the like unpredictableness of labor and like just being at home and like my water breaking or not breaking, or I'm unsure, and then like having to go to the hospital and just like go through all of that. So the second they said he was breech and I needed a C-section, I was like, oh yeah, like schedule me in, like please, like put me in the books, which caught the doctor off guard, which honestly I was like, you know what, this must be refreshing for you. So anyways, my C-section was scheduled for like, I'm pretty sure it was a week after. Like I found that out on a Friday. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure I had the baby like Thursday the week after or something. It was like very soon and sudden, and it makes sense because I was already 38 weeks, so it would have been 39 weeks, and I'm pretty sure if they're doing a C-section, they like don't want you to go past 40 or whatever. I don't really know. That was the situation with why I had a C-section, and it was all just because my baby was breech. When it came to actually having my C-section, I feel like I could go into so much depth with that, but some people just like don't want to know. So I will just explain the overview of the C-section. So I basically like had an appointment, which is so funny. So I came to the hospital, got there at 6 a.m. I am just like freshly showered, my hair's done, I just like I'm feeling good, okay? And then anyways, long story short, 6 a.m. happens, then I go into surgery, I think at like 7 a.m., maybe even later, maybe like 7:30, and then my baby was born at 8 a.m. It was so crazy. Like it felt long, felt quick, it felt, I don't know, so many things. I can answer more questions if you have about the C-section. It was just like wild, and honestly, like I will have more C-sections in the future, so it was kind of nice to like have that experience be good and positive. Obviously it was like kind of surreal because you're awake during surgery, but anyways, that was just so good and fun. I don't know, it was just like, yeah, I could save more, but I will save it for later. And then when you have a C-section at this hospital, you have to stay for 2 nights. So I was there, I think like would have had the baby maybe like Wednesday or Thursday, and then I think I was gone by Friday. And that was a crazy experience as well, just like post C-section and then going through like recovery and having the nurses help you get feeling in your legs back and like you're breastfeeding for the first time, and it's just like bonkers. Like it is crazy, and if you know people who have had a VBAC or a C-section, like ask them questions, because one, people want to share and people like to talk about their birth stories, and two, it's just like so good to be prepared with like as much information as you can before you go to the hospital. Every situation and like birth is different, but I just feel like knowing more is helpful. I guess we could jump right to postpartum. I have a couple questions that I want to answer, but honestly, the first one that I feel like is the most important is, when did I feel like myself again postpartum? And that is something I thought about every day since having the baby. I was like, when am I gonna feel like myself again? And honestly, I didn't realize I didn't feel like my full self in pregnancy until after I had the baby. And then now that I'm 7 months postpartum, I'm realizing that I don't think I felt like myself until maybe like 3 months postpartum. I would really need to like look on the calendar and like see a specific day. I remember it exactly. I basically was wearing the same outfit every day for like 3 months, and then I went shopping, got something else to wear, and then that was like, oh, like I feel like myself again. And I don't really know why and like how to explain that further, but I don't know, it came at 4 months and I'm glad it did. I feel so much like myself again, but just like a better version, because now I'm like a mom, and that has just been really cool to like see and like assess how things have been going. I think one thing that I am so glad I did was keep a journal during my pregnancy and postpartum. I didn't write in it that often, but basically reviewing and reflecting has helped me just like appreciate this whole experience. Oh, one thing I would love to talk about is my prenatals. I was so excited to start taking a prenatal before I even got pregnant. I went with the Ritual prenatals, and they are just so yummy. I thought I was gonna love the peppermint, but I ended up liking the lemon. So, and I also like that Ritual had a postnatal, which I'm taking now, but I'm actually switching back to a prenatal. So I don't know. It's also just like so cute and aesthetic, and yeah, I would highly recommend those if you are in need to take one. This next question I would always ask my friends, because I was just like so curious and to see like what would happen for me. But the question is, what does your body actually look and feel like after birth? I feel like I watch videos of people like morning after, like having a VBAC in the hospital, like getting ready. And truthfully, like that was not me. I remember, obviously I had a C-section. I remember the next day feeling back to my normal self, like not having a belly. Like I feel like I was like, oh, I probably could put my pants back on. And it was just like a weird experience, because obviously like uterus is like retracting and like going down and all the fluid and whatever, but I don't know, I just feel like I didn't have like a natural bump like some people I see do. But I wonder if that's between like a VBAC and a C-section. I'm not sure. I'm no doctor or expert. Next question, how painful is the recovery for a C-section? I think this is so hard to gauge because everyone experiences pain differently, but basically it was painful if I did too much. My goal was the 5-5-5 method, and if you haven't heard of that, I will explain it to you because I 100% recommend, and I feel like it made such a big difference in my recovery. The 5-5-5 method is 5 days in the bed, 5 days on the bed or in the room, and then 5 days near the bed, so like staying in the house. And I followed this for 15 days, which is what this is. Literally 5 days in my bed, and then 5 days on the couch, and then 5 days in the house. I slowly was walking around. Obviously I had to like get up and do things, but my husband was here and that made my recovery so much quicker. I found that for the C-section, the biggest like inconvenience was bending over. Like I couldn't bend down to the fridge to fill my water. I also feel like just being like unable to move was like such an inconvenience to me because I'm such a busybody. But if you can rest after your birth, it is like the best thing for your recovery, and I feel like you can recover so much sooner. You do bleed after your birth, and I found that my bleeding got less and less every day, but if I overdid it, it would get worse and I would see signs, and that's when I would be like, oh my gosh, like yeah, like I shouldn't have done this yesterday, or why did I do that? And I just like didn't ask for help. So I'd recommend the 5-5-5 if you are figuring out your post-birth plan right now. I think I want to end on this last question, and if you have any more questions for me, like put them in the comments. I'd love to answer them and make another video. I just feel like there's so much, like this is such a broad topic, so I can really hone in on specific things, like even going deeper in my C-section, I could totally do that. But this last question is, what advice would you give your pre-pregnancy self? And I just feel like if I could talk to pre-pregnancy Annika, I would just be like, you're gonna love this. Like I honestly had no idea what I was gonna think going into being pregnant and being a mom, but it has literally changed my life for the better. And I feel so fulfilled. I feel like this is my calling. I feel like this is not as hard as people say it is. And maybe it's different. Like I was in the workforce and like I liked my job, but I wasn't like dying to like go to work every day. Like maybe that's not something that like really matters in terms of like enjoying motherhood or not, but like I just felt like there was something else that I'd rather be doing, and truly motherhood has fulfilled everything. Like I feel so honored to be someone's mom. I feel honored to be raising a son. I feel honored to be the caregiver and like the person taking care of my home. And I feel like my husband has really stepped up and just been like the exact like person that I need and that my son needs, and it's just been like so fun and fulfilling. So if I was to give myself pre-pregnancy advice, I feel like I would just say that like you don't even know, like the best is yet to come. I honestly am so excited that I did wait so long to have a baby, and I'm very blessed that I was able to have one. But being a mom has changed my life, and it is honestly just the most fun I've ever had. I'm already excited to like have more kids and to like name them and just hang out with them every day. Like there's truly nothing better. So hopefully that made sense, but I don't know, it's just crazy. Well, it looks like my son is waking up for his nap, so I will wrap it up here. But if you have any more questions about pregnancy or postpartum or being a mom, I would love to answer the questions. So leave them in the comments. I'll see you in my next video. Bye.